Hey guys, Hello Bella here, and in this video I'm going to be telling you how to get Ozempic prescribed to you and how to get it covered by your insurance. If you are not aware, Ozempic is a very expensive weight loss drug and it can cost $1,000 for this little pen here. So in this video I'm kind of going to cover the steps that I took to get it covered. I do have Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama. All insurance companies have different requirements. It's just going to depend on what insurance you have, and you have to kind of educate yourself about what they require in order to get the drug prescribed to you, or whether or not they even prescribe the drug at all. But I'm going to give you the tips that I have because this is kind of all self-learned and self-taught information that I gathered. I did not use an in-person doctor to get this drug. I used Telehealth, and we'll be talking about that in the video as well. Ozempic is a weight loss drug and it can help you with insulin resistance, hunger cues, binge eating, and just in general for people who have struggled with their weight for a considerable amount of time. Even though they may be doing calorie restriction, they may be working out and still not seeing progress, Ozempic has been able to help people who have those kinds of issues. A lot of us suffer with hormonal imbalances like PCOS, and for us this drug is honestly a miracle drug. So I've been taking Ozempic for about 8 weeks now. I pay $25 per pen, and then I pay $35 for my telehealth doctor's visit once a month. I truly believe that most of what we deal with in healthcare is just related to money. Money is a huge factor. These health insurance companies would love it if they could deny every single claim that we had and not give us any medication. So what they've done in order to make it more difficult is to kind of put steps in place to make it harder to get your medication. So if you arm yourself with the information of, okay, they require this, they require that, you're going to be a lot more informed and have a better shot at getting it covered the first time that you get it, instead of having to wait a month or do something like that. I do recommend that you take the steps to figure out what your insurance company requires before you go to the doctor and before you get Ozempic prescribed, because there are other drugs like Wegovy and Mounjaro that are similar to Ozempic, but your insurance may not cover Ozempic, but they may cover one of those. So when you're doing your research, you want to look at basically a drug list from your insurance company. All insurance companies will have basically a PDF on their website showing what drugs are covered and then what do you need to do in order to get it covered. So for example, with me, with Ozempic, it told me that I need to do what's called step-up therapy. So basically I need to get a cheaper drug and take that and have that not work before I can get the prescription for Ozempic. So for me, the step-up therapy that I used was metformin. Thankfully, I had already been taking metformin for over a year, so I was immediately approved for Ozempic. But if you hadn't been taking it, you could take metformin or another drug, and you can take that for a month and then get the Ozempic prescribed to you. Now, this is one area where I would kind of recommend that you call your insurance company and get clarification as to what they consider step-up therapy. There may be specific drugs that they require you to take, and it may be for a specific amount of time. For example, they could say, oh, well, you have to be on this for 6 months, a month, however long they determine that you need. The other thing that they require sometimes instead of step-up therapy is prior authorization. So that basically means that your doctor is going to have to ask your insurance company, will you approve this before they can prescribe the medicine? So it's basically like another hoop for you guys to jump through. And they'll either approve it, deny it, or they may ask your doctor for more information. For example, if they say, oh, we'll cover Ozempic, but we'll only cover Ozempic for people with diabetes, then you may get your claim denied. So if you do have to have prior authorization, that's a conversation that you need to have with your doctor. That's something that you need to make the telehealth provider aware of, because there's nothing you can do on your end to get that. That is all done on the medical provider's end. Now, obviously, I'm not a medical person. I'm not involved in any kind of health insurance, so this is all just what I've learned on my own, and I do want to say that take this all with a grain of salt because it's all just based on my experience. I know that people have different experiences, but from what I've dealt with Blue Cross Blue Shield, they love to come up with reasons to deny my claims or to say that my claim doesn't have enough information, so it's being denied for that reason, and I've had to have a lot of things resubmitted through them. So it can be really frustrating and really confusing. If you can't get the information from one person, just hang up and call back. Chances are that you can eventually figure out what you need to get your insurance to cover it. Now, some insurance companies aren't going to cover it at all. They're going to say that it's weight loss related and that they do not cover obesity. Even though obesity is obviously problematic and causes lots of other health problems, they don't mind paying for basically all the problems that obesity causes medically. They just don't want to pay for you to not be obese. So I don't know, that's a rant for a different time, but it really makes no sense to me from a business perspective why you would allow someone's health to decline before you offer them medical care. So the drug that Ozempic is basically semaglutide or semaglutide, and you can look up that drug specifically on YouTube to get more information about it. But the way it works is similar to Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro. They're all sort of in that same class. And so if you can't get one, that's why I would recommend that you get another one, because Wegovy is specifically for weight loss, where Ozempic was originally prescribed just for people who are diabetic. So once you know what your insurance company is going to require to get the medication approved, then you can start looking for a provider to get that prescription. And in my opinion, getting the prescription is not the hard part. Getting the prescription is kind of easy if you think about all the weight loss clinics that are popping up, and then all of the telehealth providers who are also trying to get their piece of the medical pie when it comes to making money off of these causes. Now, personally, I went with a company called Alpha Medical. I wanted to do telehealth because I felt like I was dismissed by my in-person doctors, and I really just didn't want to deal with having to go to an in-person visit once a month. That takes up a lot of time and mental energy, and so I figured out this company. Actually, I found it on Reddit, but I also found a lot of people on Facebook using it. So Alpha Medical is one telehealth provider. I believe PlushCare or PushCare or something like that is another one. But if you look up Get Prescribed Ozempic online, if you just Google that, you'll find a lot of different telehealth providers. And what I would recommend is that you search them and do kind of like cross-reference search either on Facebook or Reddit and see what people's experience has been. But for me, using Alpha Medical has been relatively easy. They require you to submit every month. They want you to do a waist measurement, and they also want you to record your weight and to kind of tell them how you're doing with the dosage, and then they will either up your dose, keep your dose the same. But overall, it's been pretty easy. I've had 2 visits with them. I also think that they're extremely reasonable when it comes to pricing, because their visits are $35, and if I go see an in-person doctor at like a weight loss clinic, it's probably going to be at least $75 in my area. So the way that Alpha Medical works is they actually assigned me a nurse practitioner that is working in Alabama. So I have a state-specific nurse practitioner who works with me, and they just messaged me basically like through an online portal. So I've never had to do like a video chat or anything like that. It's just all been over messages. For the most part, I think what they're looking for to get your Ozempic prescription is your BMI and how long you've been trying to lose weight, whether you've been successful with like things like calorie restriction or working out. And for me, I felt like no matter how hard I've been trying, I just wasn't seeing progress for the last few years, even though I was working out, even though I was counting calories. And I can tell a huge difference after being on this medicine for 8 weeks, because I just don't get those hungry feelings like I used to. I used to feel like food was always top of mind for me, even after I had already eaten, maybe 2 hours before. I would get hungry in between meals, and I felt like I was just constantly hungry and never satisfied. I feel like a lot of it was a hormone-related issue, but at this time, I feel like Ozempic is really the only drug that has ever made me feel better when it comes to my relationship with food. So if you don't decide to go with the telehealth provider, obviously you will have to find an in-person doctor that you can work with. So I don't recommend just going to any random doctor, and I don't even know if I recommend just going to your primary care, because what I have found is that these doctors, they hear the word weight loss medicine and they immediately think, oh, this person wants the easy way out. This person isn't trying. They want a quick fix. They're not motivated. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. They only see a small piece of the person that you are when you're in their office for 5 or 10 minutes. And we all know how it feels to go sit down at a doctor's appointment and just kind of feel the overall shame of the feeling of being like, I need help with my weight. So after doing that, I don't know how many times, I just kind of realized this is not going to work for me. So I would recommend finding a doctor who is on the same page with you about weight loss medication. There's still a lot of shame and stigma around being treated for obesity, and a lot of people in this country still see it as a moral failing. And it's a shame that we can't get treated for something until it gets so bad that it starts to have other adverse medical consequences for us. But what I'm going to recommend is that you either go to a specific weight loss clinic, or you kind of search through the grapevine and do what the old school people would call word of mouth. You talk to people in your community or in your area and see what doctors are prescribing this medication. Now, if you have a Facebook group, like a local Facebook group, you can literally just type in Ozempic and chances are somebody has already made a post about it. The reason that I don't recommend just going to any doctor is you'll waste your money and your time on a doctor visit and still not get the medication prescribed. Now, if you don't know if a weight loss clinic does prescribe Ozempic, because a lot of them also prescribe things like phentermine, you can just call them and say, what drugs do you offer for weight loss treatment? You may even say, I've tried this or I've tried that. I'm wondering if you guys do Ozempic and Wegovy. Because, I mean, if a weight loss clinic makes their money off of prescribing weight loss medication, they're going to be a lot more likely than, say, a primary care doctor to tell you over the phone, oh yes, we can give you that. They make their money when you come in every month. So if you don't come in every month for that checkup, you can't get the prescription. So a big part of this whole cycle is just finding a way to find a doctor that plays ball with you and understands what it is that you're trying to do. Now, obviously, it would be wonderful if doctors were empathetic and kind and had time to deal with us, but I think for the most part, this is a business and, it's just difficult to find someone who's willing to work with you. I think that will go a long way if you find a place that you're comfortable with and you feel like, you don't feel shame or anxiety about going there once a month. That could be a good way for you to go in person. I do want to point out that Ozempic can also be prescribed by nurse practitioners. You don't necessarily have to go see a doctor. There are a lot of wonderful, wonderful nurse practitioners, and I'm going to be honest with you, a lot more of them are women and a lot more of them have more information when it comes to caring for like feminine issues, especially hormone related. So I'd recommend, if you don't find a doctor or a weight loss clinic, maybe try and find a nurse practitioner. I would say that most people who are able to get Ozempic covered are paying $25 a month per pen, and they're also paying for that doctor visit. Now, whether that doctor visit is $50 or $100, that depends on where you go. But overall, you're going to be looking at paying anywhere between, I would say, $50 to $150 a month to sustain your Ozempic prescription and doctor visit. So if you aren't prepared to pay that, I wouldn't recommend that you start taking the medication, because this is a medicine that you have to be on pretty much long term in order to see like really big results. I mean, personally, I've been on it for about 8 weeks now, and I have lost about 2 to 2.5 inches off of my waist, but I really haven't lost any weight. And I feel like eventually the weight will come off, but my body is just being stubborn like it always is. And even though I'm calorie restricting, it's just going to take some time to get that weight off of me. But I am already feeling better in terms of just, I feel like I can see a change in my face. I took a selfie like right before I did this video to kind of see, I was looking at my makeup, but I felt like I could see a change in my face on the side as far as like, my neck goes. It's, you got that stuff down there that you just hate to see. But anyways, we all have to deal with something that we don't like about ourselves. So if you decide to go with the telehealth option, Hello Alpha specifically asks you what drug you want, and they're in the business of giving you a prescription. It's not like you have to go in and beg for it. It was very easy, and they allowed me to select the medicine that I wanted, and I was able to get it prescribed within about 48 hours. So, I mean, that to me is the easiest route. Right now, they have some delays on their website because I suspect that more and more people are finding out about this affordable way to get prescriptions. They also do urgent care. So if you have an issue that you need treated, you can see them for $35 and they will send the prescription to your local pharmacy. So I use Publix, and they're able to send that over to Publix. I haven't had any issues with it. I feel like it's streamlined, and overall, I'm really happy with getting care from them. So as you can see, there are really two pieces to the puzzle. First, you have to figure out, what does my insurance company want to hear? What do they want me to do in order to get that medication covered? And will they even cover it? And then the other piece of the puzzle is, how do I find a provider that can consistently give me this prescription without too much hassle and without too much money? If you can put those two pieces of the puzzle together, you can get Ozempic or Wegovy or Mounjaro. And it is kind of ridiculous that I have to even make this video. But what I've realized in trying to navigate healthcare in America is that it's all a big game and it's all about money. And if you don't know how to play the game, you probably won't get things prescribed that you need. Before I end the video, I do want to mention that there are some people who order these drugs from different countries. I believe some people use a pharmacy in Canada. There are also people who just literally cross the border and go to Mexico and buy it from a pharmacy there. But even if you are buying it from those places, it's still going to cost you around $300. So if you can find a way to get it covered by insurance, that is wonderful. I would definitely go that route before I try anything else. And just keep in mind that this is a relatively new drug. So when drugs come out, obviously there's a lot of hype around them and there's a lot of people trying to get their hands on it. So, you know, what we have to remember is that hopefully it will not always be this expensive. I'm sure the manufacturers are thrilled that people are all kind of trying to get this right now, but I do believe this is a good medication. I don't believe it's something for people who want a quick fix. Most people who are on this medication have already tried for years to lose weight, and this is their last resort. So if this is something that you're interested in, definitely pursue it. Like I said, I took my health into my own hands and did all of these steps to get this medicine because I felt like at this time in my life, nothing that I had tried medically was working. So if you guys have been able to get this medicine covered and you have your own tips or tricks or philosophies for that, please leave it in the comment section below, because we need to make this medicine accessible to people and affordable to people, because, you know, it shouldn't be all about money. Healthcare should not be about money. It should be about making people better. So hopefully this video helps spread some awareness, and if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. I've given as much information as I personally have. We can always kind of crowdfund and research together and try to figure out different ways to get this medication. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys. I will catch you in my update. I'm going to post a 2-month update pretty soon, and I am kind of excited to show you guys my waist. It is slimming down, and even though it's not a slim waist by any means, it's definitely slimmer than it was. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I will catch you in the next video. Take care.